As you start to read more sources this week and continue to narrow down your research topic, you're going to start collecting evidence that supports whatever your thesis is going to be. So you're going to have to use multiple sources in your research paper. You're going to have to synthesize the sources, the information you receive from the sources, and combine it with, I say, into your own essay. Why are we using sources? Here are 4 different reasons. So first of all, you can summarize, paraphrase, and quote from different sources. These are all skills we've practiced to give background and context so the reader will understand the larger conversation that your ideas relate to. You can also use evidence to lend authority so the reader will realize you're not the only one saying this. So the more support you have from other people or other sources, then this will help the reader understand the point more clearly. You can use evidence to explain terms or concepts, so this will also help the reader understand your points. And this is one I particularly like. Offering alternative interpretations as counter evidence or a counter argument. So when you show the opposite side, this is showing your reader you've considered a balanced view, but then you will go on to say why that opposite view isn't valid. So this is called a counter argument, and it's another good way to use evidence. So in your papers, you want to use a variety of evidence. Here are 4 types of evidence that you could possibly use. First of all, we have Einstein evidence, and Einstein, as the name suggests, relates to other experts, scholars, or thinkers who are coming to the same conclusion as you. So if you're quoting Pollen, that's an example of Einstein evidence. Why? Because he is an expert in food politics. He's a professor and he's a journalist, right? So his word in your paper would lend authority to your claim. You can also use example evidence. Examples are, well, you can find any examples that will illustrate the point you are making from different sources. You can also use fact evidence, and fact evidence is very, very strong. So facts, statistics, and other objective information, using facts will really help substantiate your claim. And lastly, we have undocumented evidence. So undocumented evidence is going to come from your own experiences or maybe personal interviews, but it has to relate to your thesis and your subtopics. Or it's evidence that is well known by everybody. So there are certain things that we know is true. The sky is blue, right? The ocean in Northern California is cold. These are just things that we know, and we don't need a source to be able to prove these things. So you don't have to cite all of the information in your paper, especially if it's a concept that's well known by everyone. So I've posted a video here that talks a little bit more about how to gather evidence to support a thesis. It's really clear and straightforward. I also want to take this opportunity to address plagiarism because I cannot emphasize enough what a big deal plagiarism is and how significant it is. You really need to know about this. When you use someone else's work or someone else's ideas without giving them credit, you are then claiming that person's writing as your own, and this in the United States is considered cheating. So if you use 4 or more words from a source, you must write in parentheses after the sentence where you got the information, the citations. We've been doing that in class. If you don't do that, then you're stealing the information and you will receive an automatic 0 on the assignment. This is a really big deal. And if it happens multiple times or more than once, you have to have a conversation with the dean and can possibly face expulsion. So please don't let this happen. This is just the policy of Laney and all other academic institutions. Okay, backtrack. So here are some final points that I want to leave you with about choosing evidence. So as you go reading your sources, I want you to make sure you're only choosing evidence that you can understand thoroughly and clearly. So if the language is so difficult you can't understand it, don't use it, because you might not really be saying what you think you are saying. Also, choose evidence that directly supports your points. Sometimes you need to choose evidence to show the other side. That's what I mentioned before, the counter-argument. And if you do choose evidence that shows the other viewpoint, then you must counter it with an explanation or more evidence that proves and supports your point. So we'll work on this idea of the counter-argument a little bit more, but it's a really good technique. And lastly, use a variety of evidence. You want to use as much variety and different sources, different ideas as you can, synthesize them. This will all work to make your paper strong. Thanks for listening.